Hello and welcome to the Aron Baynes episode of the Hoop Theory Podcast, aka episode 46. My name is Logan Wortman, and today, as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. A little sunburnt on my face, but it actually doesn't look that bad here in the camera for those watching on video. But so what do you think about Aron Baynes being the episode muse for today?
I fought to have a lot of Celtics that shouldn't be the player, and Aron Baynes is not the one. I didn't even fight for Aron Baynes, really. I was voting for other things, and
went by default for who was available.
Because I believe we narrowed it down that there was not 16 players, but it was 18 instances of a player wearing the number 46. It doesn't happen.
Yeah, so between 5 or 6 players, wasn't it? Or it was maybe 7?
It was because it was two of them had 8, and then the rest had the rest of them. It was under 10 players for sure. I guess I could just pull it back.
Yeah, and he's talking number of years for a person wearing the number 46. How many seasons somebody has donned the number.
The number of instances. It's an interesting issue.
Yeah.
That we haven't really we've had some slim pickings, but not as slim as 46, I don't think.
Yeah, and I feel like that's been the most unexpected rare number, because I feel like 46 isn't, when I would think about it, the first people that come to mind right away. There's some numbers that nobody comes to mind for a little while. I have to think about it for a while. When I think of 46, I had Aron Baynes in my mind right away.
Well, when we get to the 80s, it'll be rough.
Oh, yeah. 80s. I think I saw a post the other day, actually, which was right up our alley, by ESPN or somebody posted it, that showed all the jersey numbers that have never been worn in NBA history. There's only a handful of them, but there's
82?
82 is one of them.
87's one of them.
Yep.
80 itself is one of them. 79 is one. 78's one.
I think 64 is one. 64 and 68.
64 was one. 68 is one. Nobody's ever won 69. Or it's just banned now, so they don't have it.
I know that Dennis Rodman tried to.
They said no. And then they just made it a rule for everyone, so they couldn't say they were being a jerk to Dennis Rodman, the Worm specifically.
Yeah. So he wore 70 instead. But yeah, anyways. I feel like it would be cool though if somebody did wear I've always thought that
out of their way to be I'm gonna be the guy that wears 87.
87 would be cool. I feel like 87 is a cool number.
There's a lot of 88s. I guess it's a double up. That's why there's a lot of them.
Yeah, because the reason why so many people do many people, why there's a few, especially Europeans, they do this where they have a number that they like. There's a lot of Europeans that like 7 or 8. And so then when they're on a team where 7 or 8 is already taken, they just go to 77 or 88. That's why Luka wears 77, is because his favorite number is 7. And when he got to the Mavs, Dwight Powell already had number 7, so he just went to 77. And then Nemanja Bjelica wore 88 on the Kings because Bogdan Bogdanovic was already number 8. So that's the reason they do that. But I feel like if you went 85 or 87, 86, 84.
There's 2 players, and they both were on the 2011 Celtics somehow. Chris Johnson. But
that's not when they wore them, right?
He wore it in 2011. And
both of them wore it the same season?
Both in 2011.
Okay.
Semi Erden and Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson, but not Chad Ochocinco.
No, different Chris Johnson. This Chris Johnson is an LSU product. 3-year NBA career with 4 teams.
I feel like I recognize that.
2011 Portland drafted by Portland in 2011. And then
there's been 2 Chris Johnsons.
Honestly, the fact that there's only been 2 is kind of insane.
Yeah. And they played around the same time too.
One left the league as the other entered, and both of them played for the Celtics.
Wow.
I don't remember either of these Chris Johnsons, to be 100% honest with you.
I don't think I do either. Now that I see
Chris Johnson,
faces.
I know, ran for 2,000 yards in 2008.
Yeah.
Or 2009. Maybe it was 2010. I don't even know.
Was there 2 football players named Chris Johnson? 2 famous ones? Like there's a running back and a wide receiver?
Yeah.
The running back was a good running back, right?
Yeah, had the NFL rushing record in a season. CJ2K for the Titans.
I don't know why I'm thinking Chad Ochocinco's name is Chris.
His name is Chad
Johnson. Yeah. I don't know why I was including him as Chris Johnson. So the football player I know of is the running back then. Chad Johnson is an entirely different human being. But anyways, enough talking about that. Let's get into what we had for
Calvin
the idea.
Johnson.
Oh, Calvin Johnson too. Yeah. A bunch of C. Johnsons. But anyways, yeah, so we had an idea for what we want to talk about in today's episode, which was some moves that could happen this offseason that would shake things up. And we're doing that in the form of like a reaction type thing, I guess, because Jacob has this article that he found a few episodes ago now.
It was like a month ago. I found this episode on Bleacher Report. Not this episode. I found this article on Bleacher Report, and for the first time in a while, there's one of them where I'm kind of like, I don't super get it. And not the trade itself, but the concept. But then there's also some things I'm like, there's a lot of them that make sense. So I feel like this would be interesting to react, and it has a little bit of Damian Lillard potential action. So, I just thought it was interesting, and we didn't have time to touch on it the day I found it because I probably rambled about something, but we have time today because it's off season and that's just how things go.
Yeah. So there's 5 players, right?
It's 5 trades.
5 moves.
5 moves.
Okay.
That are all kind of – it's not even really focusing on, like, big names necessarily. The Dame one, obviously, but a lot of them are just like I don't know if you've heard Lonzo Ball might not play basketball, at least this year. Let's just hope it's just this year, and he just extends this offseason for another 365 days that's already been 365 days long. And let's just hope that he gets back and not say it's for the rest of his career. But the Bulls' point guard problem, good old Greg Schwartz with Bleacher Report has found a solution. Tyus Jones, who recently was part of the Marcus Smart and Kristaps Porzingis trade, would be the point guard to solve the Bulls' point guard problems. And the reason I like this trade is because I think it finally gives the proper value to Tyus Jones in comparison to how most of the time people are kind of like underrating his value a lot of the time. Especially the contract he's on is like the biggest part of the value. So it was Tyus Jones and Corey Kispert for Patrick Williams, Dalen Terry, and a 2026 second-round pick.
So this Greg Schwartz must be totally off of Patrick Williams' island then? Or I guess...
Probably a little bit off.
Yeah, because I feel like the Bulls, if they lose Patrick Williams, because Patrick Williams fills a spot on their team.
He's just their defense.
Yeah, well,
their entire defense.
Big wing defense. Like, they don't have any other big wing to really go to. So I just feel like losing him would be even bigger of an issue than not. Because I feel like maybe, I don't know if Bulls fans have this, is if this is like a narrative on Bulls Reddit that they have a point guard problem. But, I mean, they got Alex Caruso. They just signed Kobe White to a contract, and they have Ayo Dosunmu that they just signed to a new contract also, which all of them play point guards. So I don't know. I just feel like it's not like I don't even feel like that's their biggest weakness. I feel like their biggest weakness is probably the size on their team.
And then I think his solution was to plug in Corey Kispert
as a big wing
in the Patrick Williams spot. Yeah, I think. Because he says a starting lineup with Tyus Jones, Zach LaVine, Corey Kispert, DeMar DeRozan, and Vucevic could make some noise in the East.
Yeah, so you're putting DeRozan at 4 then, because Kispert's like 6'5", 6'6",
6'7". I just looked to check.
Yeah, he might be
6'7", 220, as according to Basketball Reference.
I don't know if I believe that, but
I don't
what is
know
Patrick
either.
Williams listed on there? Because I would call Patrick Williams like 6'7", 220.
Well, Patrick Williams is also built like differently. He's like just a bigger human.
A lot longer.
6'7", 215.
215. I don't think Corey Kispert is that tall. Just looking at like he's like a taller shooting guard sized. He's kind of like a even shorter version of Kevin Huerter or Duncan Robinson. I feel like he's probably like 6'5", 6'6", but maybe give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's like 6'6" and a half, and that rounds up to 6'7". I still don't think you're playing him at 4. He just doesn't have the length to really compete at that spot. DeRozan does a fine job, but it's still not ideal. Usually when you run DeRozan at 4, you want to have like a pretty rangy wing to roll out there with him that can cover some stuff up.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, and even better, probably having like a center like how he had with the Spurs, Jakob Poeltl, somebody that could protect the rim and, kind of neutralize a lot of like the defensive liability that kind of lineup brings. But
And also he says the number 4 overall pick in 2022 or 2020 has shown high levels of 3-point shooting and defensive potential, something that a change of scenery could help unlock. So I think this is a more like getting the best version of Patrick Williams being not in the Chicago Bulls scenario. And then this is also sending stuff back there.
Yeah,
obviously.
I do like the idea of getting Tyus Jones into a situation like with the Bulls where he has like pieces around him, can kind of be like the point guard to help some stuff out. Because with the Wizards, like they have zero direction. I don't like the fit of that.
He'll just be dribbling it down the court and then throwing it to Jordan Poole. Is pretty much what it feels like they're doing right now because no one's left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then but with the Bulls though, so I like that part of the move. But the other part of it that I don't like is giving away Patrick Williams because like that's such a needed piece on this Bulls roster right now.
On any team to be good. I feel like Patrick Williams is the archetype of player that like pushes teams over the hump.
Yeah.
Having that guy that does that.
There's some teams that have a plethora of them.
Like too many.
Yeah.
And don't
like
have
the Clippers.
I was gonna say the Suns were like that, where you just had like Mikal Bridges coming off the bench, not really doing anything. Like, well, that's kind of a shame because he's arguably like the best at that specifically. Like play good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah. And so what was the next one?
Next one is going to be the Knicks add shooting with Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah. I think it's the second
so
one.
it is pretty much a swap for Bogdanovic for Evan Fournier. And then the Knicks also have to send a 2024 first round pick, top 10 protected.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so that works salary wise, right? Because Fournier's like making $20 million.
He was making a ton, yeah. He has a big. But then apparently the reason for this one was a big part of it was the playoff 3-point shooting. As in you have to go back over a decade to find a team that shot so poorly from 3 during the postseason and still made it out of the first round. They were 29.2% from deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is quite preposterous.
Yeah, them and the Cavs, like looking at their offensive and defensive ratings, like in the postseason, looking at all the teams, like the Cavs and the Knicks had such a low offensive and such a low defense, like so really good defense, but also terrible offense. So it was kind of a rock fight of a series.
It was a fun series.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Shocking the Knicks won it in the fashion they did.
Yeah, the Cavs was the way they collapsed was a very odd, unexpected thing.
And I don't really know the where or the why.
Yeah.
Like I still have like the more you think about it, you're more like I guess they're young.
They're young.
Like Donovan Mitchell's the only guy that's been in like that type of scenario for them. But it's still just wild how everything just kind of imploded. Aggressive. Yeah.
They didn't seem like they had a whole lot of direction with their offense. Like when they would, the Knicks defense is really good. That's definitely their Tibbs calling card as a coach. And whenever the Cavs were kind of put into a precarious situation, had something taken away from them, it seemed like they didn't know how to respond or like how to counteract some things. And also their bigs just being completely dominated was weird. like Jarrett Allen got sunned by Mitchell Robinson. And also just the fact that
Jalen Brunson, just his not
Jalen Brunson,
but he just was
took over.
He was not the reason the Knicks offense struggled at all.
Yeah, he was like the Allen Iverson to the 2001 Sixers. How it's like a fully defensive roster, and then they just have like this point guard guy. It's like you be the offensive player. Also, I think the fact that Mobley and Allen, neither of them can stretch the floor at this point. That was
Mobley,
kind of,
I think, will get there.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
well, Mobley has a
so.
chance to get there. Allen will never be that guy.
Yeah. At the most, I could see Allen maybe shooting like corner threes every once in a while, maybe stretching out that far because he's not like a bad free throw shooter really. But Mobley's shown to have really good touch around like the short mid range, kind of like a Bam type of shot. So I feel like you could project that out to maybe stretching it out to the 3-point line. But at this point, teams don't respect either of their shots, so they sag off of them. So playing them both together has proven to be kind of difficult to, making their offense kind of perform as well as it should, especially facing a smart defensive team like the Knicks. So, but yeah, so what was I don't even remember what you said the trade was. Oh yeah, Bojan Bogdanovic going to the Knicks from the Pistons
for Fournier in 2024 first rounder, top 10 protected.
Okay, I feel like if I was the Pistons, I would want more for Bogdanovic. That would be like the 10th deal on the list of like my favorite deals that I feel like would be out there for the Pistons side of things.
Even though the Pistons have. They know they're not good, so they have a lot of things to be like, oh, sure, we'll take on your whatever for future stuff.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think like last year, the reason Bojan Bogdanovic wasn't traded, I feel like was because they didn't see a deal they liked enough. And I feel like there are deals out there to be made with, some veteran teams, especially like the Lakers at the deadline. If we see a team that's like trying to compete, that just need like to mix things up to push them over the top, basically like what Knicks. The Lakers were this year, like a Knicks. Maybe they could be that this season. They would want to give up probably more. They would be willing to give up more than just a top 10 protected pick and Fournier's salary filler. So both of these trades, I'm not like crazy about so far, but
it's just not as bad as Bleacher Report usually is.
Yeah.
And it's more not like the trades themselves, but the concept. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, these actually make sense. You're not just being like, here's a big name and here's a big name. Let's swap them for the sake of an article. 2K.
Yeah.
The next one, and maybe you can give me the light. This is the one where, like, even in theory, I'm like, I don't know if I get this as much. The Hawks acquire a Raptor star. Not named Pascal Siakam.
OG Anunoby?
Yes. So the Hawks get OG Anunoby, and the Raptors get AJ Griffin, DeAndre Hunter, a 2024 first round, and a 2027 second round, and a 2030 second round. So it's pretty much DeAndre Hunter, AJ Griffin, and a first rounder with a couple second round picks.
Yeah.
For OG. The reason I don't not like it. I would like whatever's going to go on in Toronto. I don't know if it's going to be good. So like OG is a guy that I've wanted to go somewhere else for a long time. Like let him go be him somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. But the Raptors are another team that we should have brought up earlier when we were talking about they have way too many of these big wing guys.
They have 5 of them that start. They all do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I get it, but in my brain, I'm like, what the Hawks have now, OG doesn't fill the John Collins hole, really.
No, but he fills the hole of what those players that they gave in exchange are supposed to do. Like he's a better version of DeAndre Hunter. They're basically taking DeAndre Hunter, adding his upgrade. Yeah, adding his backup and a pick and like upgrading that into a better version of that, basically. OG's not as good of a shooter as Hunter is, I guess, but definitely, OG Anunoby is one of the best defensive wings in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I do see that like the appeal for the Hawks front office for wanting to get a defensive player like that to surround Trey with. I don't know who's going to be playing to the 4 for them. I guess. OG might. I mean, it depends. Like, you can slide OG really 2 through 4 and even 5 in some lineups if you want. But I think you're going to have Capella there at the 5, obviously. Maybe Okongwu will step into the starting 4 role. I kind of like that. Not a lot of shooting there. But wait, DeJounte Murray's still there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got Trey, DeJounte, OG, Okongwu, and Capella. I don't hate that. That's a pretty good defensive lineup, honestly. Like, that's probably as good of a defensive lineup you can possibly build around Trae Young.
Having to play Trae Young.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like that, honestly.
And that was the big focus as he did a full break. Again, this is Jeff Swartz. Jeff?
I think you said Greg.
Greg. It's Greg. Greg Swartz, Bleacher Reports article released July 13th. If anybody wants to read through all his descriptors, because I'm not reading them verbatim here. But the gist of it was Atlanta needs to improve around Trae Young defensively, as they were 22nd overall defensively, and they have aspirations to be better than that.
You would hope.
He didn't say that. I added that part.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But they're like, this is a good spot to do it. Led the defense and led the league in steals. Anunoby did, and then received the most all defensive team votes of any wing in the NBA.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, it makes sense. And the Raptors, I guess, if they're doing that, it's probably more of a rebuilding type of move, which is definitely on the horizon, I feel like, for this Toronto team. At the very least, maybe reconfigure, because I feel like you could make some moves to retool around Pascal Siakam and some stuff, maybe, to make one of their playoff contending type of teams like they've had in recent years, ever since the championship year, really. So, yeah, I don't hate it. It's just weird that
they won a title. Like, if you sit and think about it, like, they pretty much just lost Kawhi and now Nick Nurse, but like, from what we've seen, they've lost more than obviously just. But like, that was the big thing that changed, and then they were like just kind of not good. Pascal Siakam turned into like a way worse player. Fred VanVleet,
for 1 year, he had a down year after the championship run. And I think
it was because it was the COVID year, which is, if anybody's gonna have like because they were playing in Tampa.
That was the next year after. That was 2 years after because like the next year after the championship year was, most of the year was normal. We didn't know about, that was the year that Gobert shut everything down, and then they went into the bubble. So that they weren't playing in Tampa yet. The next year they were.
But was he bad before the bubble? I don't think he was terrible before the bubble.
Before the bubble was the year that everybody kind of turned, at least according to my memory, that was the year that everybody started calling Pascal Siakam the
real playoff P?
No, like what's it called? What are those called? Julius Randle also has the nickname. It's like a spinning toy that
a dreidel?
No, it's like a fighting thing. It's
Beyblade.
There we go. You know how that was Pascal Siakam's nickname for?
I only know the only nickname is Spicy Pete. I don't know any other nickname.
An insulting nickname is what I mean.
Was like Beyblade because
he only spams spin move. Like, they're making fun of how he at least in the playoffs in the bubble, I think is what it was in the first, because he struggled even though they went to the conference finals. He struggled like that whole playoff run basically. But then he had a bounce back year, if not the Tampa year, then the year after that.
No, because I remember that people were like, he's not playing at home. It's like a weird year. It makes sense. He's being weird. So looking at, I don't have this, so they won in 18-19, right? The 19 season.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So then going into the next year, he averaged the most points until this year that he's ever averaged. But that would
in
also
1920.
In 1920, the 20 season, he had 22.9 points a game.
Yeah. But he was the number one option for the first time also.
And that makes sense that you would get similar to the Jaylen Brown thing we brought up, is like, is it him improving as a player, or is it a situation he's getting more looks, usage type of thing? And then the year after, he had the drop in points per game, more turnovers a game, less rebounds a game, assists, more assists. But anyway, he's been like I also think that like after that season, seeing him play along Kawhi, people shot him to this like maybe lofty value in their brain.
Yeah, and that was his breakout also. That was his breakout season. came out on the scene.
And then came back down to a more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
This past year, I think, is probably like the Pascal Siakam that we can expect, or like this is the level of a player he is.
Oh, yeah. No, now that we're talking about this again, I think you're right.
The bubbles when he collapsed. And then the next year he was bad.
After, like, the Tampa Bay.
The year they played in Tampa, he looked really bad. Yeah,
because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to remember. I remember people talking about Pascal Siakam as if he was, like, an MVP candidate at one point. I was like, oh, yeah, that was the beginning of the 1920 season. So that would have been right after Kawhi left.
In the bubble season, he got bad in the bubble. Did not look great in the bubble.
I think it was a playoff year. I can't remember if it was the bubble or if it was 2021. One of those playoff years.
Well, no, because I thought his entire 2021 season he was just bad.
Oh yeah, they didn't even make the playoffs in 2021, so it had to have been 2020. Yeah.
I think they were like so bad. That's why they. I thought it was their pick. Is why they have the guy that looks like Stitch.
What?
Scotty Barnes.
Oh, interesting. I think that it was their pick. Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, they were really bad in 2021. I think they struggled. Like, how many games did he even play? 56. Yeah, so not a lot. But yeah, they had a down year for sure.
Scotty Barnes has a really big mouth. Like, yeah, he physically not. I don't think he really chirps all that much at people, from what I understand. Like he's not crap talker. He just has a large physical mouth.
Yeah, he definitely has a unique look. Yeah,
you know who he is for sure.
Oh yeah, but I just never would have. I never thought of Lilo and Stitch or you just Stitch before. Yeah. But interesting. I don't think you're wrong when you say that. You know.
Yeah, if I had a superpower, it's that. Like, obscure animated person. I saw somebody look like Bartok the Magnificent before.
Who?
And I was at a grocery store recently. Bartok the Magnificent. He's a little white bat.
Bartok?
Okay. I'm trying to think what he's originally from. I know him from his spin-off standalone movie, Anastasia. He's the white little bat.
That's like a 50s movie, isn't it?
No. Whoa.
Anastasia?
No, it's not that old.
Oh, I'm thinking of Fantasia. Disney's Fantasia.
Yeah, Anastasia. It's about like the Russian princess where the Bolsheviks came in and like killed the whole royal family, but Princess Anastasia got away.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 1999.
But the little white bat that I don't know I can't remember what the bad guy's name is.
I've never seen this thing before in my life. Bartok, yeah.
Oh no, Bartok the Magnificent. He has his own spin-off movie and it's fantastic.
Okay. I see him now, but yeah, I don't.
What's the bad guy in Anastasia? It's not. It's Rasputin. Okay.
Oh yeah, I actually overshot or undershot, however you want to put it. Fantasia. It came out in 1940.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So what were we talking about? The Raptors. For some reason, we're talking about Siakam.
Oh, we got the Lilo and Stitch, and then I said it was my superpower to see people that look different.
Yeah,
I talked about Bartok the Magnificent in the grocery store. Anyway, but yeah, I don't really want to see this happen at all.
The OG Anunoby trade
to Atlanta, I don't really want to see it.
From what perspective do you not want to see it?
Fun, good
for whose interest? Like for OGs?
So like I feel like it's good for Atlanta. Them upgrading that position defensively, it can't hurt because despite their best efforts of just surrounding Trae Young with defense, they were still pretty bad last year.
Which they have not done. They've never had a best effort at that. So that's been their struggle. This would be the first time they've actually built an all defensive lineup around him. They've sprinkled in some defenders.
Yeah. And like, Clint Capella, be enough defensively, and it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And then, but like on the Raptors side, it makes sense because it's just pushing the timeline back because their timeline is not soon.
Mm-hmm.
And did they pay him yet? I can't remember if they have to pay him still.
OG?
Yeah.
I think because
for Toronto,
he's on his first extension for sure.
It's a protection against losing another star in free agency, as he can choose to turn down the final $19.9 million in 2024-25.
That is a very team friendly deal. He's definitely going to turn that down.
Yes, and so then they would get something for what they're going to lose, most likely.
Okay, yeah. So this was his first rookie extension, after his first rookie contract. So he's already been in the league. Wow. I feels like his rookie year was just like last year or 2 years. You know what I mean? But it was 2018. It would have been the year the Cavs rolled through them because he guarded LeBron, and that he was guarding LeBron on that, that weird LeBron floater bank shot to win the series. Yeah. A rookie OG. But I feel like, for OG, this would be a good fit with Atlanta, but that would put Atlanta in a precarious situation with contracts, though, which definitely makes sense why they were so eager to get off of John Collins.
Yeah, because they were already in kind of like dicey water anyway.
Yeah, if they want to keep the DeJounte, Murray, and Trae Young backcourt together, it's going to be because DeJounte is on a very cheap contract when they got him, and I think he's still technically on that right now.
Next year it ticks over to the bigger one, I think.
Oh, okay, so they've already extended him.
I thought so, but my brain might be mixing players up.
No, you might be right. I don't know off the top of my head if they have. Yeah. Wow, they got him on a good extension too.
Oh, wow. I guess he had kind of a down year before.
And he's had some character issues that I feel like has probably brought his value.
That's why I think he wasn't a Spur, because Greg Popovich tends to not deal with character issues very well.
Yeah.
That's why Lonnie Walker is not a Spur. That's why there's like a long list of people that are like, oh, that'd be a good fit for the Spurs. And then he's just like, nope.
Yeah. Josh Primo. Probably don't need to even go into that one.
Yeah. Also, in the defense of Josh Primo, he got drafted way too early. He was the 12th overall pick.
Why does that defend him?
That he should not have been thrust into the position he was by the Spurs because they picked him very early.
Well, that wasn't his issue. His issue was just showing his junk to a therapist or team therapist or whatever.
I thought he just had mental health issues. I never.
No, he exposed himself to the female team therapist
because he the day before. I remember this sequence now.
Multiple times he did it.
The day before he was like, "I'm struggling. I'm going to step away." And then the next day,
that was the statement he released after this stuff came out.
It was before.
No, it was after. Well, I guess the stuff wasn't confirmed yet, but I had known about the accusations at least already. And then he was like, I need to take some time to focus on my mental health. And then the big story the next day, like from all the podcasts and stuff, people were like, you can't use people are using mental health now as like a getaway free card on like everything. Which I don't think necessarily.
He was waived by the Spurs on the 28th in a statement released by Woj. He's seeking health treatment due to previous trauma. The next day, it was revealed that Primo allegedly exposed himself to several women.
I just remember it the other way around, but maybe I don't know. Maybe I
just remember people calling him like, okay, you can't just like mental health Ben Simmons it.
Yeah,
I don't want to. But then it was revealed that he was being. Now I remember this. I don't remember how I forgot that. This is what got Josh Primo in trouble.
Yeah,
I can't even remember that.
There was no reason they would have, because he was like a bright young like prospect for them, for their team. Like they had high hopes for him for the most part, and then that happened. Because you're right, I remember them waiving him. Because that is how the first thing I saw was he got waived, and I was like, why the heck would they waive Josh Primo? What in the world? Like they just picked him 12th 2 years ago. And he's been doing fine. Why would they release him? And then it came out. Yeah, so you're right. For some reason, I remember reading that quote about needing to step away and thinking, having the knowledge of the alleged accusation, already as I read that. Because I remember thinking of it in a kind of like, oh, sure, guy. Like, that's kind of a weird thing to say when this is what you're being accused of. But that could have been after the fact that I did that. But anyways, this isn't examine why Logan remembers things different ways. This is hoop theory. So Josh Primo, he got waived by the Spurs. But why did we start talking about that? DeJounte Murray, character issues.
Allegedly. I don't know him.
I wouldn't even say allegedly. I've never even heard anybody say that. I've just noticed it with how like all those videos of him like just how he plays with people, like how he hits people on the head with a ball, and like have you seen that?
No,
he's done that in a couple games. Like ever since he's left the Spurs is when I've started seeing it. Because I always used to think of DeJounte Murray as just his like normal guy, but now it's like, why is he so over the top? Like he hit Paulo Banchero they had like a pro-am scrimmage run before Banchero's rookie year, so last summer, and he like smacked him in the head with the basketball in like during the flow of a game, like just for the sake of doing it. And
like it's like a disrespectful thing.
Yeah,
he does this all the time.
Yeah, and he also he like hit or pushed that ref after a playoff game.
Yeah, and there was somebody that felt that. Well, also, I don't know why he got like Jason Tatum did the exact same thing. I will never understand why DeJounte Murray got a game and Jason Tatum didn't.
Oh wait, so what did Jason Tatum do?
Jason Tatum, like in the same, DeJounte Murray was a lot more targeted, but Jason Tatum was like angry, fighting with the ref, and on his like way out, he like threw his arms and like made contact with the ref, which you just can't do.
Yeah, it was that wasn't that more inadvertent looking, at least
looking. It doesn't. Yeah,
because I just remember, I haven't seen it in a while, but the DeJounte ref video looked like it was he just like walked up to him and did he hit him? Did he shove him? I don't even remember what he did to him.
Well, because I think Jason Tatum's what got DeJounte Murray mad.
Oh,
like I think, or maybe John Collins got mad when Jason Tatum didn't get ejected after that.
Okay, so DeJounte is pointing and yelling at a ref as he's walking out.
Because Jason Tatum was like walking by and he like pushed, like get out of my way, but you just can't push the ref.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, but that's different than what I'm looking at the DeJounte video now. He walks up to the ref, puts his he gets right in his ear to like say something to him and hits him. He like hits his shoulder with his chest. Like he just just comes up into his face, like trying to intimidate him and bumps him type of thing. Just look like a thing that I don't know what goes through your head to think like, yeah, I'm just going to do that. I'm going to walk up to the ref and try to like physically intimidate him.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm surprised that this is the one that we talked most about. The next one's the one I'm most excited about on the list.
Yeah. It kind of brought us on some different tangents, but
that's true.
Also, I like this one the most out of the three so far, for sure.
People call me a Josh Primo defender. I forgot that he did that.
Okay, yeah. I was trying to help you out a little bit because I was like, this seems like he probably doesn't, he's not thinking of the same thing I am. Yeah.
I totally forgot.
I was like so confused. I was like, how does that defend? How does that justify?
The PR worked. Me getting hit with the mental health.
Oh.
PR in the front. I forgot about like the actual terrible thing that he did.
Yeah. Yeah, well, still alleged. I don't think it was ever necessarily proven, but I would definitely if the Spurs waived him that quickly, definitely they were reason to be concerned about it. Yeah.
Honestly, this one I find so exciting. I almost want to skip to the Dame one instead and do this one last.
Do that one last. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
It's more because there's a player.
I'm surprised. This seems like it will be our entire episode. I'm kind of surprised this is. I thought we might have to find something else after we got done talking about it, but it's been fruitful.
Yeah. So this is a Damian Lillard 4-team blockbuster.
Okay.
Lillard goes to the Heat, and Harden goes to the Clippers.
I've thought about this before.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll work out the exact same way, but I've said from the very beginning, as soon as both of them demanded a trade, I was like, why don't they just not trade them straight up for each other, but if they had like a 3 or 4 team deal, they could, use them.
It's a wild. Okay, so the Heat receive Damian Lillard and Marcus Morris Sr., which the reason I was like, is there like a more Miami guy? Marcus Morris Sr., if he buys in, feels like he's a Miami guy.
Yeah, they just had Markieff a couple of years ago when Jokic gave him whiplash.
So the Heat receive Lillard and Marcus Morris. The Clippers receive James Harden and PJ Tucker.
Okay.
So then the Sixers get Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, Robert Covington, and 2 second-round picks.
From the Heat. So the Sixers get Hero, Covington.
Actually, I think just
Martin.
For obviously people listening, this is not helpful. Is there I can't remember. Did we figure out if there's a text chat?
In this? I think there was. Yeah, there is. Chat. It's down at the bottom right.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'll just read it for everybody and you can process it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as I said, the Heat get Dame and Marcus Morris Sr. The Clippers get James Harden and PJ Tucker. The Sixers get Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, Robert Covington, and 2 seconds from Miami in 28 and 29. The Trailblazers get, take a deep breath because there's a lot, a 2027 and 2029 unprotected first-round picks from the Heat, a 2028 and 2030 first-round picks from the Clippers, Kyle Lowry, Nick Batum, Nikola Jovic, Kobe Brown, Amir Coffey, and Jason Preston, which I think is just salary fitting.
For the Clippers, yeah. Because they're taking on PJ Tucker's contract, which is pretty hefty, and James Harden's contract, which is obviously pretty hefty.
And so, yeah, it's like Portland is absorbing a bunch of like salaries that aren't great, but getting 4 first-round picks out of it that are all unprotected.
Well, I think the thing is why there's so many of them is because none of the salaries are that big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like that's why the Portland list looks so long because it's a lot of guys that are just kind of like Kyle Lowry's like the big salary piece, so it's not like 5 more guys long.
Yeah. But, what does Nick Batum make? I don't even think his contract's that big.
Like 5 years ago, he was like that old guy that was overpaid. So maybe he's just the old guy that's properly paid.
He was in what we've talked about in a previous episode, that 2016 CBA summer
craziness,
the Timothy Mozgov, summer. Yeah.
That was also since we last spoke, Anthony Davis got paid gigazillions of dollars.
Yes, he did.
So,
which let's save that for after this list. Honestly, we'll end the episode on that. Nick Batum makes a decent amount, but like 11.7 for next year.
But I think the rest of those guys would be
in the single digits. I think.
Yeah. So breaking it down, who won the trade?
Yeah.
Is it the Trailblazers? Did they actually somehow lose Damian Lillard? But like thinking about what they want to get done, they don't bring in that many point guards. They bring in Kyle Lowry, who can be like veteran point guard presence for all their young guards.
He stays there. If this trade happens
with the new CBA, where you can't just like get bought out and then go sign with a good team if they're over the cap.
I'm saying that I think this happens like when the trade if this trade happens in the offseason.
He retires?
I think Kyle Lowry, no, not retires. I feel like he probably goes and just ends his career with the Raptors. I think he just goes and because the Raptors isn't a team that's going to be over the cap. That's true. He just goes and finishes out with the Raptors. Okay, he said that in the past that he wants to come back to end his career with Toronto, in one way or another. Like whether it's just like even after he's completely done playing and he just signs for a day or something like that.
Raptor.
Yeah.
But 4 unprotected first rounds, and the thing I think is interesting is the Clippers' first rounds are 5 years out and 7 years out. Because it's 4 years out.
2027 is 4.
The Clippers. The picks they're getting from the Clippers are the 28 and the 2030s.
Yeah.
So, like, the Clippers could be terrible then.
Yeah, very, very likely, honestly.
And they're unprotected. This could end up being like...
And they don't have any other like these are the only Clippers picks that I think they have available to trade after because they had all the Paul George and Kawhi. The rest of them are in
Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think these are the only new ones on the dock because you can only do like 6 years out or whatever it is, 7 years out, something. And so these are the new ones that have come in since then. Now they're trading those, and you can also only do every other year. For those who don't know, you can't trade consecutive first round picks.
They did that because of Danny Ainge.
The Stepien rule, I think, is what they call it.
Well, because that was the GM for the Nets. I'm pretty sure.
I think the Nets GM was Bobby Marks was in the front office. I don't know if he was the GM. It might be the person who made the rule.
Wait, what? I thought that the Stepien rule... Well, it couldn't have existed because we got Jalen and Jason in back-to-back first-round picks with Nets picks.
Were they both Nets picks, or were they just came from the Nets? Like the Nets could have had...
So Ted Stepien owned the Cavs in 1983, and he sold them. The NBA then created a rule which prevents the team from being without first-round picks in consecutive drafts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just confused how maybe because like they were like protected.
No, I'm saying like the picks could have come from the Nets deal, but they weren't necessarily the Nets picks. Both of them. One of them could have been the Nets, and another one could have been from a different team.
Okay.
They just had it.
But then the thing that I don't get is because they got done so long ago. That's why Jalen and Jason both had Celtics hat on draft night.
Oh yeah. They were in full possession because that trade was the Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, it was
trade.
way before. Because it's just the NBA is weird because like the trade will happen, but you still get drafted by the team.
That's if it happens
the year before,
a week before the draft, or on draft night.
Okay.
Something like that. But like if it's at least like a month out, I feel like at that point a month is about as what you need probably for it to be official in the NBA, which seems like forever. Like it shouldn't take that long. But
in season is stuff faster?
Well, yeah, I mean, in season
it's like the same.
They play who was that? Harrison Barnes or some player played
at
for
halftime.
A team. Yeah, he got traded. He found out he got traded at halftime. But there was some player that played a game for a team, and then he got traded right after that game, and then he played not the next night, but the night after that, he suited up and played for the new
Bridges
team.
Did that?
Was it Mikal Bridges? I was thinking that was
because he played 83 games this year.
Yeah. So he might have been the one that played really short back to back, not back to back literally, but pretty quick turnaround. Played for two different teams, but so that has to be official at that point if you're actually in the game playing. But for some reason, true. I've heard that the NBA has said the reason why they like to do the draft thing the way they do with the hats, is to avoid confusion, which I just have always found wild. They think it avoids confusion because if they don't want the scenario of where a trade they think is going to happen, but then it doesn't happen. And so then they're like, oh, we told you you're getting traded, but you're not. And you're wearing the wrong hat now, but the NFL, vast majority of the time that does not happen.
Roger Goodell's sitting there getting booed like he always does. And then you hear the dun, 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 dun. A trade has happened. And then the entire background flashes to the new team's colors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's what they should do. But they say...
So it's like, oh, the Eagles are picking, and there's Eagle Green behind me with an Eagle logo. And then, the Eagles are sending this pick to the... What's the opposite of green? To the Kansas City
Vikings.
Chiefs. Oh, that works too.
Yeah.
But, we'll go Vikings. And then there's a giant just flash of purple, and then the Vikings logo pops up. That's not confusing. That's very clear what's happening.
Yep. It is. But I think what they were worried about is the deal falling apart the next day or, something like that.
Well, then just make them commit.
Well, even if I just feel like it's not a big deal because that rarely ever happens. You know what I mean? It's like it's a big story when something like that does happen, when it does fall through. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's equally as confusing as seeing a draft photo of Luka Doncic holding Hawk stuff.
I would argue that's way more confusing for everybody involved.
Because you think it's Photoshop, but then unless you know, if some little 12-year-old Timmy in 5 years, so he's 7 right now, some 7-year-old that doesn't watch the NBA finally gets into it, he's like, Luka played for the Hawks? No, he never did, and nobody ever thought he was going to.
Yeah,
there was a couple seconds, but
the thing is, some people do because it's confusing. The people who do know, knew that he was never going to. But there are a lot of people who aren't as familiar and aren't as privy to what is going on. They're like, oh, he's going to the Hawks, and because that's how it's shown and displayed everywhere. And
question. Was the Luka one before they picked anybody, or was it technically after?
It was announced before Luka was even picked.
I always thought it was. My brain thought. See, I was one of the confused ones. I thought that they made this decision at pick 4 because it was 3 and 5, wasn't it?
No, yeah, it was 3 and 5. Mm-hmm.
So I thought during the time of pick 4 is when they're swap.
Mm-mm. They had already orchestrated that the Hawks were going to pick Luka Doncic for the Mavs, and the Mavs were going to pick Trae Young for the Hawks because that's the way they have to do it.
Would have been hilarious. Who's pick 5?
The Mavericks were.
Who's pick 4? I mean, sorry.
Oh, the player?
Yeah, no. Who's the team?
The team was the Grizzlies because it was Jaren Jackson.
Just light the world on fire and take Luka.
Yeah. Well, Luka got pick 3. So they would have taken Trae.
Take Trae. That would have just been funny.
Yeah.
Because
that would have been funny, but you probably don't. If you're a GM because I'm sure that GM is probably looped in on what the other two GMs are trying to do.
Yeah,
and
but still, that'd be hilarious.
If he did do something like that, that probably would lower his reputation a lot in terms of making deals. Like, because I feel like that's a big thing with GMs is keeping relations pretty cordial GMs, or pleasant. So like, hey, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And if you don't do that, then everybody kind of hates you.
That's why it's confusing why people do deals with Danny Ainge or Daryl Morey ever.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've never seen him scratch anybody's back. Unless it's James Harden's. And they're great GMs. Like, but like, they just don't lose almost ever. And that means you're not helping other people out if you don't lose trades.
Yeah, for the most part.
I guess if you've got like a 4 and the guy needs a 4 and you kind of need a 1.
Yeah, if what your team's needs are extremely different, then sometimes it can be...
It can help.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a wild thing. But Damian Lillard will be wearing a Heat jersey, if I had to imagine, by Christmas, for sure.
We got into that because you said... the Blazers would you asked the question if they're the winners,
yes,
right, of this trade,
and I feel like just because of the win those first round picks come into play, that's like a big thing. Like these could be 2 top 5 picks easily from the Clippers,
and all 4 of these are unprotected. Yeah, wow,
all of them. In Miami, I don't think will be as bad because Jimmy has made it sound like he plans to play for a while still. Because he's going to try and get that Jaylen Brown money.
Yeah.
Quote. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said.
I feel like the Sixers... there's no way this happens. From the Sixers side of things. How are you giving the team that has Daryl Morey as their GM the worst return? You know what I mean? That's never going to happen in a 4-team trade.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Because who...
Daryl Morey would somehow turn one of those seconds into a first. That'd be the only way he'd do it.
Yeah. That's Sam Presti's thing. If all the GMs, all the best GMs had their own superpowers, specific things.
Getting draft picks when it doesn't
Sam
make sense.
Presti's the one that is the best at finessing draft capital.
Just to be I'll give you the second for that first. I feel like Sam Presti's playing 2K where you try to get an entire draft, first round draft, where you have all the picks.
Mm-hmm.
And your team's terrible. But you just kind of keep trying to do it. But his team's not terrible. They're very good, and they haven't started using those picks yet. That's the scariest part of the whole thing.
They've started using some of them, but not very many.
If they've used, it's got to be 1 or 2 of the firsts.
No, they've had a few years now of they've had a few Clippers picks. They've had
because Giddey wasn't a Clippers pick; he was a Thunder pick. I thought
it's really hard to keep track. I have no idea.
I
think that was definitely their pick because they were hoping to land the number 1 pick that year for Cade. It was Cade that year.
I think they're happy. Cade, obviously.
No, yeah. But Giddey worked out a lot for them, honestly.
Oh, so no, the Jalen Williams, the
12th
overall pick. So Santa Clara Jalen Williams.
He was a Clippers pick or what?
He was a Clippers pick.
Okay.
And I think that's the only one they've used.
From the Clippers.
Because
they also have, where'd they trade Russell Westbrook to? The Rockets. They have some Rockets picks.
Well, the Rockets have picked, so it has not been Rockets picks yet.
Yeah, but it's been more than 1 year since they traded Russell Westbrook to the Rockets. And the Rockets have used their own pick because they have to have at least every other one of their picks. I'm pretty sure they've had to have because they've had multiple first round picks in each draft the past couple of years. Did you leave? I think we lost Jacob. I don't know if
that was a misinput.
Hello?
That was a misinput. I'm back.
Did you just type your name in really fast? It made you type your name in or something?
Well,
I just noticed it's different. And
I was on the wrong tab Googling.
Oh, you have RO both capitalized.
Oh.
So it just looks like you frantically typed it in.
Well, because I was like, crap, I left. Okay. Oh, this is a comprehensive list
of all their picks.
33 picks over the next 8 drafts.
Yeah.
As of June 11th of 2023.
I feel like they've had a draft in the past 2 years where they picked 4 or 5 players in the first round.
That will be in 2025.
Like, I mean, it's already happened. Because they got both Jalen Williams were first round picks, weren't they?
I don't know if Arkansas Jalen Williams was.
I'll just look at it this way: 2023 draft, because they had a lot of picks this year too. A decent amount at least.
41st overall. No, 34th overall. Sorry.
Okay. Thunder, they had pick 12 this year. Because they trade a lot of them.
Of course they do. But looking at the 2024 draft, they have the Rockets, Jazz, Thunder, and Clippers picks. The Derek Favors deal still paying dividends.
The Derek Favors deal? Wait, what pick was that?
We don't know picks yet. Just the Rockets top 4 protected pick in this upcoming draft.
They got a Rockets top 4 protected for Derek Favors?
No, for Russell Westbrook. Derek Favors is the top 10 protected first-round pick.
Okay.
So they have their own, the Clippers, the Jazz, and the Rockets. From the Russell Westbrook for the Rockets, Derek Favors for the Jazz, Paul George for the Clippers. Then the next year, they have the Thunders.
So, but what's funny about that is the Derek Favors is the opposite of what the other two players are there, because they didn't trade Derek Favors to the Jazz. I'm pretty sure they traded for Derek Favors. They took on his deal in exchange for taking on his contract. The Jazz also gave him a pick.
Well, I just know that it like on inside the Thunder.
No, so you're right. I just wanted to point out the irony, like how it's funny, how it's like it's different than saying like, oh, in the Russell Westbrook trade, because it's like the Derek Favors trade, but they weren't trading Derek Favors away. They were trading for Derek Favors, and they got the pick for that, because they were doing the other team a favor in that scenario by taking his big contract.
So then they have the Thunders. They have their own pick. Then they have the Rockets / Clippers, but it says swaps. So
yeah, that's how teams get around the Seppian rule. They do swaps every other year usually.
Okay. Then they have the Heat top 14 protected next year. Or in 2 years, sorry. They have the Sixers top 6 protected in 2025. Then they have 3 second-round picks in 2025. In 2026, they have 3 first-round picks. 2027, they have 2, and then things return to normal.
Okay, yeah. So in the first round last year, they had pick 2 and pick 12, because they took Chet 2 and Jalen Williams 12. So that had to have been from somebody.
Chet must have not been their pick. That might have been the Rockets' pick. No, because the Rockets
pick 3, but they also could have had picks from trading away Russell Westbrook again from the Wizards, maybe.
Has anybody led to more first round picks being swapped than Russell Westbrook? James Harden might be there. KD's a sleeper.
KD's never been. He's only been traded once.
Oh, you're right, because he just waits till the end of his contract, and then
well, technically he's been traded twice, but the other one was a sign and trade, and all the Warriors got was D'Lo.
Because it was just like a sign and trade, nothing or something.
Yeah, a sign and trade is like very different than like a trade under contract. But
because like we'll give him the money we can give him.
Yeah, and I guess we'll take D'Lo so we can get something. Yeah. But yeah, so that they had 2 picks in the lottery that year, and then they had the 30th pick that draft as well, which they traded to the Nuggets. But that was it says that it was the Thunder drafted Peyton Watson, and then it says traded to Denver. But that trade, like Denver traded for that pick at least a day or 2 before the draft. I remember that.
I do also as well now that you say it.
Yeah. So like on draft night, I already knew that the 30th pick was in possession of the Nuggets, but it still says that the Thunder took him. Which I just think is really.
No, I don't think any other sport does it in this weird way.
Yeah. I don't know why they think it's confusing to do it the other way.
Well, no, I would just counter with the graphic switching behind Roger Goodell that says the trade is in. Or no, that's what NBA maybe.
It says the pick is in.
The pick is in. So no, it just said then there's an announcement from Roger Goodell. The 30th pick in the 2004 NFL draft has been traded from the Buffalo Bills to the Green Bay Packers. He just says it in front of everyone, and then the pick happens. And that guy comes out wearing a Green Bay Packers hat and not a Bills had or whatever team I said.
Yeah. That seems like it would make so much more sense, and it would lead to fewer confusions because most of the time they'll end up on that
because you know what the Mavericks will never have? A draft photo that they can throw up.
Yeah.
To be like, that's our guy.
That's our guy. We drafted him. Like, they can't take credit for drafting him, even, kind of, in a way.
That's just bananas.
Yeah.
BANANAS.
Yeah, I really don't like that because it leads to us to situations where, you know, we play our game at the end of some episodes where, like, we have to say, this player's picked by this team. Like, but it's not just you. I hear other people do that all the time when they play games like that, where they have to give, like, this player was picked by this team, but they traded him to this team. And it's like, that's a weird way to describe it. The only reason we have to describe, like, the only reason we describe it that way is because the way the NBA like
is dumb,
forces teams to do it, you know, because in all intents and purposes, the team that got the player is who made the decision to draft that player.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyways, I think we can.
Are we ready?
Okay. So like this Damian Lillard deal, I guess Damian Lillard to the Heat, obviously what he wants to do.
What did you have envisioned
for this deal?
I guess it'd be a giantly like 30-minute long thing to explain probably.
I mean, I just think that Dame is putting the Heat in a really like tough situation.
They're going to be
not Heat,
worse.
The Blazers.
Yeah.
Because like he's saying he wants to get traded, but he's demanding to go to a specific team and then
doesn't have the assets to make it worth. And fun fact, when you trade the best player in the trade, you usually lose.
Yeah.
Like, it's like of note if you don't lose the trade. Like, it's like, oh, wow. Shout out to Brad Stevens. Like, we were texting the night that Marcus Smart got traded, and you could argue that Marcus Smart's the worst player in this entire trade. And I got mad. But
yeah, I don't know if I totally agree with that anymore. Like,
you were just doing it because I was.
Yeah, they're all three kind of on a similar level. But
like, if someone were to rank them, KP, Tyus Jones, Marcus Smart,
I wouldn't say you know nothing about basketball or something like that, you know. But
the fact that the Celtics got like probably the consensus best player at their peak.
Yeah, for sure. And
but
a better example, I feel like Danny Ainge with the Jazz and Gobert, or the Masai Ujiri with the Nuggets, trading away Carmelo to the Knicks. I think the Nuggets won that trade also. But
yeah, when you lose the best player,
that rarely is the team that wins.
You rarely win.
Yeah, but these are the few exceptions that we're naming.
The names that we've brought up, pretty elite GMs in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, that guy was like one job and done.
Yeah.
Like, no, these are all pretty good at what they do, GMs.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that I'm the most excited for involves Rudy Gobert in a roundabout way. He's not being traded.
This is the fifth thing on the article.
The one that I'm the most excited about. Do you have anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, I think we can wrap that up.
And this is not because I think what they have makes sense, but because the concept of it brings me so much joy because of the man crush I have on Anthony Edwards. They blow up whatever the T-Wolves have going on and send Cat to Dallas.
Okay.
So the Mavs get Cat.
Yeah.
And the T-Wolves get Christian Wood via sign and trade and Tim Hardaway Jr., Jaden Hardy, and a 2027 unprotected first-round pick.
Okay.
But I just love, like, admitting, like, because I wanted him to do it with D'Lo before they got rid of D'Lo. I was like, ignore D'Lo. Ant is your future. Stop thinking that D'Lo needs to be a part of your future. And they did that. They figured it out. They moved on.
Ant and Cat fit really well together, though. I don't like Ant and Gobert together. But
yeah, that's what also I was like, Gobert being sent away, but nobody wants Gobert. Not nobody, but
you wouldn't get
maybe
as
Mark
good of a
Cuban
return.
has enough of a crush on European players.
Gobert honestly Gobert and Luka would be an awesome pair. That would be ideal. That would be like the best Gobert has ever been offensively.
Potential for.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Conley's been the best pick and roll partner he's had ever. And
not disrespecting Mike Conley, but he's not Luka.
Yeah. One of the most dynamic pick and roll players in the history of the sport. So that would be a good match. Also, what is one thing you like need to get around Luka. Great defensive players. What is Rudy Gobert? Great defensive player. For all his faults, he's a great defensive player.
They could low-key just be building like an all-conspiracy team because people think like Rudy Gobert is like QAnon because he like didn't believe in COVID and rubbed microphones.
I had no
idea. And then
idea.
you got Kyrie.
Yeah.
Down there in Dallas. I'm not putting Luka in as a crazy but that's a big three.
That would be a good, and none of them like it's not a clashy fit for any of them. Like they all kind of, the reason why I don't like Gobert and Ant together is because Ant is so downhill. Like the more space you give Ant, the better he is. You know what I mean? Like when you have Cat at the 5 and there's nobody on the interior and Ant has the fastest first step of all time, like getting to the rim, like every possession is a great thing for your team when you have Anthony Edwards. If you have Gobert clogging up the paint, and Anthony Edwards is not that great of a pick and roll creator yet. Like as a playmaker, throwing lobs and stuff like that, he's just
fun to watch.
Yeah,
because he is, as you so eloquently put, the fastest first step in the history of the NBA. Because he's just gone.
He's explosive.
Yeah. I've got a buddy that's a T-Wolves fan, and so I've watched a decent amount of T. And you're just like, Ant is wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's like, and my favorite part is he just doesn't look like a basketball player.
He looks like a football player. Yeah.
Because he is a football player.
Yeah.
And like when he wore these, like my favorite, I was watching the game live. Ant has this white undershirt on.
Yeah.
And he misses a shot and gets mad and just rips the sleeve off.
He started wearing those because of an injury he had apparently.
I don't know. I just remember that he missed a shot or something and then just like rips off the sleeve and throws it on the side.
I heard it had something to do with like a shoulder injury or something. So, like that's the reason he was wearing that type of shirt, which I don't know how that makes sense, but he was wearing like a baggy t-shirt type of undershirt. Like it looks really weird.
Oh no, the one that I've seen, it was like a tight. I'm talking about like the tight white.
Oh, like a Under Armour dry fit, like spandex shirt type of thing.
Oh, I guess no, it was looser than I thought it was.
Yeah, he wears like a loosely fitted, like a Kenny Bell. You know, shout out to Nebraska. You know, Kenny Bell used to wear like a red or a blue T-shirt under his pads and jersey every game.
Practice.
No, in games. You could see a blue T-shirt. You could see under his. I
don't remember the collar. Kenny Bell rocking the blue.
I'm pretty sure he wore that most.
There's like that's a thing that like it's a lot of cornerbacks and safeties do it now. They wear like a long sleeve hoodie that's really baggy when it's cold outside.
Yeah, Nebraska. He played for the Broncos. I had no idea.
Yep. Well, played relatively.
He was on the roster.
He was because he was a Colorado kid.
Oh,
it's from Boulder, I think.
Dude, I swear I've seen this so many times where Kenny Bell, Nebraska undershirt.
Oh, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing the blue now. It doesn't like stick out like over outside of his arms. It's like at the bottom.
Yeah, no, it's the collar and the bottom. Yeah, you can see it there too sometimes. I think you can see it in the collar in some games at least.
Yeah, I forgot about that. To the fact that I don't even know if I ever had this knowledge.
Yeah, I just know
Kenny Bell has the cleanest hit that was called a penalty in the history of football.
It's a block too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Completely blindsided a guy that was like, he had like an angle on whoever had the ball, right? And then Kenny Bell just came out of nowhere.
Jamal Turner.
Is who had the ball. Yeah.
Is who had the ball.
Mm-hmm. Our wide receiver room.
I think it was Jamal Turner.
Our wide receiver room that season was stacked. It's absolutely juiced.
We didn't have a person that could throw the football.
But the receivers though were completely stacked. We had
Kenny Bell
and Jamal Turner and Brandon McKinney.
For everyone listening that's not a fan of Nebraska football, stacked for Nebraska. We don't churn out NFL wide receivers.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, but like, I'm pretty sure they were ranked. I don't remember why I knew this, but I think they were considered the best receiver core in the Big Ten that season.
What? That's wild.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if I
could have been some like Bleacher Report type of article, not Bleacher Report specifically, but I mean
because Westerkamp, Stanley Morgan Jr., Jamal Turner, DeMornay Pearsonell. Yeah, no. Well, I think it's also Brandon Riley was on that team. Oh, I might have gone a year or two early because Kenny Bell's not on here.
Yeah, I was going to say I think that's later. Isn't that later?
That was a year later.
Yeah. but because I'm pretty sure Brandon McKinney was still on the team that I'm talking about. Number 84, Brandon McKinney Sr., I believe. Yeah, anyways.
He was not on the team. Alonzo Moore. These are just like the best receivers that we've had and seen.
Yeah. So what season are you talking about? The year that he made that block?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brandon, I don't think that was his senior year, I'm pretty sure, and I don't think
Kenny Bells.
Brandon McKinney was on the team.
Gotcha. Well, anyways,
that was a rabbit hole.
Yes, definitely was. Let's try to wrap this up. What were we talking about again? Gobert to the Gobert staying there. Cat to the and then we just made a better trade is what we tried to do.
Making it Gobert
would make so much more sense for everybody, honestly. Yeah.
Money wise it might not, but
I mean they probably make about the same, don't they?
Well, just Gobert got paid more recently, didn't he? And that usually just means it's higher.
He did. So I mean, the Mavericks in a vacuum, Cat is still probably a more valuable player, but I just love the fit of Gobert with the Mavs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like for how it makes everybody's life better.
Well, and Cat can get out of the paint, and Gobert really can't.
Yeah. Like
if Gobert gets out of the paint, his defender's not really following him.
Yeah. Offensively, Cat is obviously the better piece, and Cat and Luka would be a great dynamic pair also because Cat can roll to the rim. He's pretty good at that. He's not Gobert as a rim roller, but he can do it. He's semi-athletic at 7 foot. So, but he can also pop, as we all know. He's a very good shooter. So that would be a good pair. But defensively, that's like the opposite of a good, like you can stop after listing those three players. And I'm telling you, no, if you're asking me, do I want a lineup of Kyrie, Luka Doncic, and Karl Anthony Towns? Like just defensive perspective, like no, I do not want that. That would cause a lot of problems. If you're giving me prime Hakeem and prime Scottie Pippen as the other two people, then I might consider it. But
that doesn't exist in today's NBA.
Yeah.
We have not found the next Hakeem yet.
Yeah.
Or we have, but he's also overpaid.
Gobert. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm just kidding. That was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah.
Gobert's not Hakeem.
No, he's not near as switchable as Hakeem. But as a rim protector, he's around. You could say that literally about that's how good Gobert is as a rim protector. You can say that about anybody all time. Gobert is probably it's not insulting to compare Gobert to
as a rim protector to
anybody
else in the history.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Teams are smarter now and they have more space, so they can exploit him in the playoffs more than Mark Eaton. We talked about him earlier. I think that was before we even started recording.
Yeah, but if you were wondering, our conversation we have here a little bit more on the tracks, but it's pretty much just how we talk to each other in general.
Yeah,
just kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
Logan says way more racial slur. I'm just kidding. I shouldn't have made that joke.
No, but anyways, Mark Eaton.
You can cut that out.
No, that's okay. I know you. I feel like everybody will take it as a joke.
Okay. Well, yeah, me saying anything's a joke. I
am. Mark Eaton. What was I going to say? Yeah. So if for anybody who thinks Gobert, the reason why Gobert is looked at more negatively in today's standard is not just he's a very good rim protector, but teams are smarter and more capable of flanking his weaknesses in the playoffs because of the excess of space that we have now. And also the teams that Gobert has been a part of that is so lackluster at the defensive positions all around him that it makes it easy to try to put him on an island and get him out of the picture, basically, by forcing him to guard or defend a shooter and putting that shooter as far away from the play as possible.
Instead of there being two shooters on the floor for each team or one shooter on the floor for each team, 4 or 5 of the guys on each team can shoot that are on the floor.
And when you're going against Gobert, you roll out 5 exactly. That reason.
You just on purpose, you're let's put everyone can shoot.
Yeah.
And back with all the other names we've brought up, they just didn't have the same problem of teams had a shooter. They had a guy.
Yeah.
They didn't have everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously not everybody, but more guys could make it work. But it wasn't. But everybody had their Steve Kerr, or they had their. I just blanked on I see his face. He's bald on TNT.
Reggie Miller.
Yes, Reggie Miller to a certain extent.
But he's more of a superstar. But yeah.
But that's not who I was thinking of.
He's bald on TNT.
Shaq,
Kenny
Ernie,
Smith?
Kenny Smith.
It was. I mean, I don't think he was that great of a shooter, was he? He was an athletic point guard. He might.
Oh, for
he
some
might have
reason
been
I
decent.
thought he shot.
He might have been a pretty good shooter, I guess. I can't remember. I just remember him being in dunk contests. He was in dunk contests when he was younger. But yeah, he was a teammate of Hakeem. Full circle. Anyways, the comparison I was trying to make though was Mark Eaton. We never, as prolific as a shot blocker.
40% 3-point shooter, obviously on lower volume, but on 2.5 threes a game, 40%.
Yeah, he's probably I'll concede that. But Mark Eaton though, so he's a prolific shot blocker, but we've never had to see Mark Eaton try to defend teams the way that Gobert has to. Like we've never seen teams do to Mark Eaton what teams do to Gobert. So I'm trying to, give a little bit of a defense for Gobert. So he's a very good defensive player, but he's faced situations because of his roster, the team's construction around him and other circumstances, words. Can't think of words, but anyways, so
I am being summoned.
Okay.
So you can talk about Anthony Davis alone. I have no input.
Okay. I'll probably just save that. So we can wrap up here. Thank you guys for listening.
Don't forget to go to the Patreon.
Yep.
Sorry.
No,
don't forget to go to the Patreon and buy this man a coffee because he puts in the legwork and I show up when we record. Peace.